Oh, just in the nick of time. Found the link. It came up. So for anybody that's not able to find it just yet on LinkedIn, I just put it back into the event. So the restream, it did not work out very well today. But here we are. So glad you could join us. Welcome to the Cipher Table. Grab a cup and circle up. Today we have a very special guest. I'm so glad you could join us. Alyssa Miller. Yay. And returning also a pack of Wonder Women in them of themselves, Alicia Park with TechGirlz, a nonprofit focused on, what are you doing? Dog issue.
We're focused on what are you doing to help middle schoolers learn technology.
Well done. Like it.
Oh no, the dog just ate my brownie. That's gonna be bad later.
Wait for it back.
Oh no, it's gone. He inhaled it. Anyway, Alicia, tech girl, focused on empowering young girls and women to pursue careers in tech. Yay. And Alexis Robinson with Empower Her Cyber with the H, capital H, and some parentheses. It's awesome. Go check them out. They are empowering underrepresented minority women in cybersecurity as well. And Summer Dann, the executive director for a local program here in Louisiana, East Baton Rouge Parish Career and Technical Education Center, which I am a huge fan of. I'm so very glad. So here we are. We hope you found us. I don't even know. Let's see. Let me look at my chat. Oh, look, we got a few people. Oh, we got some people on LinkedIn. Roger, good morning. And if you can, share this link out, man. we had to abandon ship on the first link. So this has now been shared into the event. I hope everybody finds it. Oh man, I'm going to be so bad and nervous if they don't. So welcome to other things that happen during speaking engagements.
Yeah.
That could possibly go bad.
No. Opportunity to show that we can pivot.
You like that? That was a very good segue just then. So one of the reasons I wanted to sit and have this conversation with you ladies this morning is because I know that you have all participated in one facet or another in speaking engagements. Alyssa is like a serial speaking engagement person and really good at it. So I'm going to take this opportunity to learn lots of things from her. I recently did an event, and it was my first like speaking directly to an audience of professionals without being able to see them or see any feedback whatsoever from them in a virtual environment. And you guys, it was awful.
Tell us more.
Come on.
Let it out.
Yeah, share.
It was deer in headlights. I felt like the entire time. There was probably a good 4 or 5 times where I spent 20 seconds forgetting to breathe through my nose or my mouth or anywhere. I just was like, all the oxygen has left my body and I don't know what's happened. It was bad. It was so bad.
Oh no.
And like I tried to give myself notes, like I tried to do all these things, and I even reached out to another professional that I knew that had done several speaking engagements and asked for tips or tricks in a virtual setting. I was not prepared. I was so not prepared for what it was actually going to feel like. It was horrible. So how's anybody else doing on virtual events? Because mine was bad. Crashing.
It's been rough, right? It's such a different experience. You don't realize until you do one of these virtual events just how much energy you draw from having the audience there. Even if it's like 5 people, just
right,
being able to see their reactions and stuff. It's so different when, you know, a lot of these conferences now, it's you alone on a Zoom call, talk, or, you know, some other form of webinar software that doesn't let you see the participants. So you're just literally like talking to the void. And yeah, if you don't like have a conscious strategy to deal with that, it's hard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's also it's awkward. Because I'm going from usually speaking in a room and riffing with someone and having that, repartee something. and now, like Alyssa said, speaking into the void, empty void, hoping people get it, and also having to also multitask in a different way too, right? Because it's like you're speaking into this, you're making sure everything's good, you're also checking the chats for questions. It's very hard to do the dynamics of Zoom virtual speaking while multitasking and reading your piece all kind of at the same time. So it adds another element to it. So more power to people when we do it.
Yeah.
It's almost like we need to revert back to the saying, like, imagine everyone naked in the audience. More like just imagine people out there, because I don't need to be naked anymore, but just imagine they're out there.
That was one of the things that he's not secretive. Jonathan Kimmett is usually the one that I ping pretty regularly about, hey, I'm doing the speaking engagement. What do you like? Help a girl out. And he was like, put your camera down center, like, and I even got like this arm that like rotates around and stuff so that I can put it to where it looks like I'm looking directly into it, and instead of off to the side awkwardly. And then I put up a picture of like people behind their monitor. I forgot they were there. Like,
oh no,
deer in headlights, staring at my monitor, flatlining. Just somebody needed to rescue me. Thank goodness.
You probably were fine though. I'm letting you know, you probably were fine. Summer touched on it in our preview earlier. You probably were doing a lot better than you think you did. Is just just going through it was just uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought I was gonna throw up like twice. It was bad. Yeah, and that audience engagement and the just feeding off of like just their energy, like what Alyssa was talking, like, yeah, I needed that badly.
Right.
Very like,
it's really hard if you don't have the nonverbal cues, because I know that when I'm giving a presentation, I try to make sure that it's registering with at least half my audience. If I'm speaking about something and they all have the deer in the headlight looks, then you're like, okay, let me modify my presentation and see if I can use different words, but you don't really have that. So I found that I was stopping and said, okay, I felt like I was saying it more often in the most recent presentation I did. Okay, who has any questions? Put them in the chat, or can you send me some feedback? Like, what are you thinking? And so that actually turned out pretty good, but it takes a little while to get your feet, to get comfortable with it. So the first one, I'm sure I was terrible. I don't know. I'm not focused on my first one. I'm thinking about my last one where I was like, yeah, I had good feedback and people were sending me text messages and emails and things. So it's going to get easier. The more you do it, it's going to get easier. Just like if you were given a presentation in front of an audience with 200 or 300 people versus 5, you start getting used,
Yeah.
I'm sure
I
you
think
did, because you're very dynamic anyway, and I'm sure you did great.
oh, thanks.
Did you video it so we can all watch it and we can send you grades?
Say, where's the link in the chat? Link in the chat.
Yeah, link in the chat so we can look.
No. Did you hear me not mention who it was for or when it was? No, I'm not. If you find it, you go right ahead.
Now I'm searching. You know this, right?
Yeah, right.
Here we go.
One of us is going to have it up by the
When
end
you
of
get
this.
the link, Alyssa, put it in the chat so we can all
Exactly.
look at it.
Perfect.
You guys are so great. Oh, I love you so much. Favorite.
I mean, what are friends for?
Okay, so we know how horrible it can be. So who's had like the most, like, what's the most, and I'll ask Alyssa first, what's the most memorable speaking engagement that you had where you just were like, that was amazing. Look at them all. They loved it.
So we're talking non-virtual times here, I assume, as well.
Yeah, you can. Yeah. In the before times.
So
yeah.
I'm going to cheat. And I'm going to tell you about 2 because they're for similar reasons. So in 2019, I spoke at a conference down in Naples, Florida called Naples Next. And it was like the most highbrow conference I've ever been at. So first of all, it's held at this private airport. The first night was held out in a hangar, and they had the private Gulf Streams parked outside the hangar. You could go and do tours on a Gulf Stream. All right, so if that gives you any indication. So the next day when I'm speaking, everything is, like really nice stage. And I was on a panel, and, so this really just awesome stage. And it was such a pro setup because so they had a green room first. So I'm sitting there with the two other people that are on this panel with me. And I mean, and not like when you go to B-sides and they have like a room off to the side, like a conference room. No, this was like couches and food and like a true like green room. Then you go backstage, and of course they've got the whole production crew there who does everything for you. They come up, they set your mic, they get you all wired up, they test it out. Then you have 5 minutes to sit and just chat with the other people on the panel before they call you out. And then they call you out, and it's like, follow spot walks you to the stage. You go up on stage, you sit down, and there we are. We're just sitting in these leather couches, chatting back and forth. I mean, it looked like, The Tonight Show or something, right? I mean, it was that pro top to bottom. And so I mentioned that because then earlier, well, not really, it's not this year anymore. It was last year now. About a year ago right now, in fact, I was out in San Francisco at RSA.
I know.
And I ended up speaking on their sandbox stage. And I was expecting it to be like any of their other breakout stages, little conference room, hotel style, just, projector on a table sort of thing. No, I walk in and it's exactly that same kind of stage. And the same full-on production crew. They had like this 100-foot long LED screen behind me. I had my slides on both sides. And when I had a video, it played in the middle. And just, again, you had this really nice production crew who took care of everything and treated you like you're a rock star, which to me, I mean, nothing sets you at ease more than like the only thing I had to worry about was what I was going to do when I got on that stage. And so, yeah, those were by far my favorite experices.
And I'm sure it pumps you up too.
In a big way. Yeah, I actually, right? For RSA, I had to bring myself back down because I was so raring. And and the other thing with RSA, I now have like a sizzle reel that I can play at the front of my talks, which worked out great because I got to use it once and then we went virtual. But so I was really amped up about doing that already. And then, everything else is really cool. And so, yeah, the whole time, as that video is playing, I'm just standing there trying to calm myself. In fact, those of you that follow me on social media, you're probably familiar with the blue picture of me. That is my avatar. That was that moment as I'm standing there watching my video, trying to just get in the mindset.
Wow.
Yeah, very cool.
I do some research on you now. Goodness.
Yeah, right.
You hear that, conference host? You want to create magical moments? So, Alicia, what was your most memorable speaking engagement? Was it a good one? Was it a bad one?
I've definitely had a little bit of both. I feel like every time it changes, no matter how many times you do them, I feel like it depends on the day and your mood and your mindset. I've had really great ones in person and virtual too. And again, I think it depends on the platform it's hosted on. Being able to see others or have that constant communication with attendees, like Summer said, it's really helpful and it's easy to do. So I don't know why more are not doing that. Because if not, you might as well just send a recording of yourself and have it streamed the day of instead of feeling like you're just talking to yourself anyway, like your experience, Rachel. So I think adding it in virtual is pretty easy. In person, yeah, I mean, they're always great. I feel like no matter what, right before, I'm always the person that gets super nervous. And I'm like, where's the nearest bathroom every minute prior to needing to talk, just because it's how I am. But getting past it once you're, chatting with everyone. I did a talk in person at one of the Women in Tech summits that is a partner program of us. It directly funds TechGirlz. And we did a talk, funny enough, in 2019 pre-COVID about working with remote teams, managing remote teams, and how to do more like team building. So hopefully those that saw it, it helped. It was a one and done type of thing, because then once COVID did hit, it was like an influx of all of that information. No one would want to hear us talk about that anymore.
Yeah, but what a perfect timing kind of situation.
I know. I guess we're psychic in that way, huh?
We were like, we did it first.
Yeah, we don't want that on us that we did it. But that was really cool because we did like a skit in the beginning, so it wasn't like straight, talking to the audience about experiences we had. So we kind of made it more lighthearted and fun, and we had, interaction constantly with those attending, so that was great. I also saw in other conferences I viewed virtually some things to do to kind of make it seem like a real in-person conference. Is I've seen some talks where the speaker is not just blatantly sitting at a desk, but they're still standing as if they would. And I kind of thought that was really cool because I haven't seen it a lot, because it almost feels like you are actually a part of a talk instead of just someone sitting in their chair talking. It was like a different viewpoint than just their neck above.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it was cool. I enjoyed watching that.
So Alexis, what's something that you do to like make yourself really comfortable about a speaking engagement that might be coming? Is there anything? Or do you just like, you're like
No, I have a routine. It's a routine. So I would say at first I would get really, really nervous, and like really, really nervous, like palms sweaty, like a full flop of just a heap of just not great, just
I did that.
Hot, honestly, like hot flashes in a way, because it's just worry. And so my routine now is there's this rapper that I love. Her name is Trina. She's from Florida. She's great. So I won't curse on here or anything, but there's a song that she has that honestly, it's just, there's no way that you cannot listen to it and not get pumped up. And it's just, so it's like honestly a mirror thing. It's kind of like, yes, ready to go. And if possible, before COVID, before 4 times, if there was a way to always get like music before coming on stage, there would be like I would have to put some Bruno Mars on, something, so I'm dancing on the stage almost. So I would say like before COVID, there was at least like 8 different speaking engagements that I actually had where I was able to do that. I got a track on a walk-on or something, and I would always have a Bruno Mars song or an In Vogue song, something that's ready. Bruno Mars is easy because they always have it. Like they always have something. Yeah. And so that would, at first people would think, oh yeah, this is something that is for the crowd. Nah, it's not for you. It's not for you. It's for me. Like it's nothing to do with y'all. It is really for me. So I don't have to worry about, it's that long walk onto a stage, like from the back, you guys know where you're mic'd up in the back, someone's introducing you, you're waiting for that that is like the walk of death for me. So if there is something that doesn't like make me think about it, and there I'm like the first like 2 minutes, I'm either dancing on the stage, just something, and I don't care if the talk is about imposter syndrome or just cybersecurity and the breaches within in the government. Like I don't even care. I'll still have that option. I'll take it and I'll use it. So that's one of the best ways for me to get ready.
I like it, like an icebreaker.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like dancing is my home space. So I'm always dancing on something. So it's like, if I can dance, then I am comfortable and then everything else just flows.
Like 10, 12 years ago, they did a study of people's fears, and like number 1 was speaking in front of people and number 2 was death. So people would prefer to die than to speak in front of other people. I mean, It's like, okay, well.
I mean, for me, they were one and the same. I was speaking and dying instantaneously. So I'm going to add that to the resume, by the way. Multitasker.
Hello, dogs.
I mean, when spiders and snakes make it at like number 10,
That's
yes, is number 2, and speaking in front of people is number 1.
Wild.
Yeah, so you're not alone with the fear thing.
No, but you touched on like a really important point, and that is, how do you get yourself up for a talk, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is something like, my God, I wish I could get this through to some people, because what I always tell people, and a little different because it's like your fear, you were talking about the long walk. For me, it's like, attack the stage. Like when you're walking out there, and obviously it's a little different in COVID, but you can do this too, even virtually, like attack it, go out there, be aggressive with it. Because I mean, just how many times do you go into a talk especially at security conferences, where you sit down and the speaker has no energy? And it's like, remember, if what we came here for were the facts that you're going to tell us, we wouldn't need you. You could just put this in a white paper or a PowerPoint. We're here to see you. And this is like something speakers need to remember. Whoever's there in the audience, they came to see you. Whether they know who you are or not, whatever, they saw your topic and it was important enough for them to pick your talk to come to. And it's because they wanted to see someone talk. They didn't want to read it. They didn't want to, look it up online. They wanted to see a talk. So they're there to see you. So when you go out there, the thing I tell people most, whatever you got to do to get yourself amped up, whether it's, if you got walk-in music or a sizzle reel like mine, that's great. I mean, that's awesome to have that. That's why I have that, because it juices me up. But whatever you got to do, get amped up and go out there and attack the stage. Don't just walk onto the stage. Go attack that thing. And be aggressive. They're up there to see you. They want that energy. And you're going to have a better experience if you go up there excited and ready to tear things up and smash things than if you go up there just to, talk about what's on your slides.
So if it's recorded, if your talk has been recorded, do you guys, because I've gotten mixed reviews on this, do you all go back and like critique yourself? Because I've heard some people go, never watch yourself. And then
I used to in the beginning. In the beginning, I used to, because I wanted to see how I was doing, but I haven't lately.
Yeah, I think the ones that are saying don't ever watch yourself are the ones that are like, you'll psych yourself out of ever doing it again.
Right. I have too, though, like just with your most recent, what you say was a horrible experience and you feel like you didn't do a great job. Go back and watch it. You may not feel the same way, because I've done that with ones that have been recorded, and I'll watch it back because I was like, this is horrible. I can't believe this is going to be out there in the internet world. I need to go look at it. And then I was like, okay, wow, I actually formulated sentences that made sense, even though I felt a little off at some point then. And it wasn't as bad as I thought during it, as my face was getting redder and redder. And I'm like, what's happening? Looking back at it, I was like, okay, well, I did that. So don't be afraid. Yeah.
Especially because there's like a running topic that I'm going to be doing multiple times and I want to get better at it. Also, like, because of, so like AWS, I work for AWS. AWS has like a tier 2 speaker cert. So anyone that speaks outside externally on behalf of AWS has to get this cert. So they make you rewatch yourself. Even if you don't like it, you kind of have to, in order to know whether or not you're gauging yourself well and whether or not you're actually meeting the need and the message for the audience. So at first I was like, I don't want to, but they kind of get you comfortable with doing it because they make you want to critique yourself to be better next time.
You know, and DJ Shecky just said it in the chat, and I agree, is there's always something you can learn. And so I watch every one of them, no matter how good or how bad I thought it was. I go and I watch every one because, like, for instance, I came off the RSA stage. I was pumped. I'm like, I crushed that. I killed it. And I was really happy with it. But even then, what I noticed was I did a lot of walking and I felt really bad for the poor cameraman because it was like almost like tennis match. Like, girl, just stop and stand in one place for a minute. Like, and so I learned that, like, I had a great stage. I had the ability. It was, I forget. I think it was 20 feet wide or something. So it was decently large.
Yeah.
And so I take that back. It's probably bigger than that because this office is 15. It was definitely bigger than that. But whatever it was, I had a roomy stage. And so I used it, but I never really, I didn't stop nearly as often as I should have or for as long as I should have. And watching it when it's on camera, you realize how much because you see the camera constantly moving back and forth.
That's a good point.
So there's always something to learn. I've had like new ideas for how to deliver the talk differently crop up by watching myself deliver it. So even if it's not like, well, I did that good or bad, it's like, oh, I could do this thing here and make this talk even cooler the next time I have to give it.
Yeah.
So
I
how do
mean,
you guys?
it couldn't be as bad as the guy that I saw. I went to an engineering conference and he literally pulled out his paper and just read it.
No, don't you?
Oh, no.
Yeah, true. It was horrible. It was horrible. And you're like,
So bad.
okay, I could have done that. And he just da 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 da. So
Yeah.
That was actually a point I was going to bring up on the don't side. And probably what happened to him is like over preparing is a thing. And that's something just because of who I am. And I tend to prepare more than I need to for things, that it could actually hurt you then because you're so prepared and you feel like you have to stick to such a rigid script and then you're pulling the script out to follow along with it. So just like set time aside, you need to feel comfortable, but don't keep dwelling on it. Because I've done that for sure for some virtual talks where I've over prepared and then the question was delivered in a different way that made it seem like a brand new question. And then I felt thrown off. So yeah.
Not that talk could have been an email. No.
That is not.
I'm dead. Died. Dead. Over here. I could.
But that brings up an interesting. So I have like lots of rules for myself, and one of them is I treat every talk like a keynote. So what I mean by that is every talk I do starts with a story. I never walk. I mean, how many times have you been there to that conference where it's like, they introduce the speaker and he comes up and says, yeah, so this talk is about how you achieve remote code execution doing this. And that. If your first words out of your mouth are this talk is, stop right now.
Get off the stage.
Begin a talk, say hi, maybe introduce yourself first. A lot of times I'll introduce myself first, but once I get into the talk, it's a story first. Like, why am I here? Well, hey, I'm going to talk about OAuth 2 vulnerabilities. And the reason I'm doing that is because, and then I start off, I'm not going to say I'm here to talk about OAuth 2 vulnerabilities. I'm going to start off with a story about, hey, I did this series of 12 pen tests, and in every one of them, they had OAuth 2 vulnerabilities. So I thought this was important. Let's talk about it. And that's so much more effective in engaging your audience, and it makes it so much more interesting.
See, I tried to start off with the story. I tried to start off with a story, but I didn't connect it well. So that's actually really helpful.
Yeah, just think about why am I here? Why is this the talk I decided to give?
Yeah. The one thing I wanted to add
I think I was so nervous. I just jumped right in. I didn't like a whole lot of anything else. It was awkward. It had to be awkward. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Alexis.
No, I was going to say, I feel like having the story makes you own the space. It's when you're doing this is why I'm here, or the explanatory statement, like as you guys are saying, that this talk is for, it's kind of qualifying why you should be there. And you want the audience to automatically know, oh, you're here. You already have something to say because you're up there. There's nothing else you need to qualify or say. I used to do that too. I am here because this talk that I am presenting.
Story. And if it's a story that's just a metaphor, use that. But stories, I mean, this is one of the things, if you do like professional classes on this is what they tell you. The story, it makes you human. So you're not like this bigger than life thing up there. 2, it connects you and the audience, because if it's a story that people can identify with, now they're engaged and they want to hear more about what you have to say because, well, I've experienced that too. Or I haven't experienced that, but I know what that would feel like. And
so that brings me to another question. So, whenever you're picking a topic that you want to discuss, how, like, I don't know, do you come up with I'm sure by now you probably have a plethora of topics you come across that you're like, oh, I could talk about this, or this, and then you pick one. Like, how do you pick the topic that you want to talk about? What are some things that you consider whenever you're going to go give a talk, what it is that you're actually going to talk about? Ooh, that was
I mean, I'm open to, but for me, it's just, what do I have? One that I'm passionate about, because if I'm not passionate about it, why am I up there? Like, there's nothing more than, hey, can you do a talk on XYZ? Well, if XYZ isn't something I'm passionate about, that doesn't work out really well. But the other part of it is I try to look for things where I have something new to bring to the table, right? Or I can bring a different perspective or something. I spent a lot of last year speaking on deepfakes. And part of the reason was I had just happened to see towards the end of 2018, or maybe it was early 2019, a deepfake video. And I'm like, oh, wow, that was really cool. I think it was the Barack Obama one, in fact. And I was like, I want to know more. So I just started digging into it. And then I started to see, well, wait, there's actually some applicability here from a security perspective. I could tie that in, or, and a lot of times it's just some stupid thing I'll say in the moment. Like, I'll really just say, I'll make some dumb offhand comment, and then it comes back to me later. I'm like, actually, you know what? That's kind of intelligent. That could turn into a talk. So a good example of that is I did a talk last year making barbecue as a metaphor for designing security defenses. And it just stemmed from a stupid comment on Twitter. Rachel, we can't hear you at all.
So for anybody that I muted it because the dog's in the mailman. Anyway, so for anybody that doesn't know, Alyssa is amazing at making barbecue, and I'm usually salivating my fat girl self away at her Twitter. Whenever there's like, I'm like, that looks delicious. I could eat a lot of that. It looks tasty. But anyway, okay, so Barbie, I'm sorry. I get very distracted. So anybody else, how do you pick some interesting, Summer, you've got some, because Summer, you don't just pay attention to cybersecurity. One, first of all, right? You've got like 4 different learning tracks across CTech. But before that, you were actually my husband's boss. Right? And
yeah, I was thinking about my presentations. We're recruiting and retaining students in the College of Engineering at LSU. And so a lot of my talks were research based. So we were looking at the parameters around what were certain things that we could do that could help support students. And it was first generation students, underrepresented students. I mean, everybody, like, what could we do and tailor our different programs? And so I was called to give talks all over the place. My favorite was the one in Hawaii because they flew me out for free. And I was expecting to be talking to like 30 people, and I walked into an auditorium. So that was like, got to psych myself up to walk up to there. But now I kind of have to be on my toes with a bunch of different things. So, I mean, everything from HVAC to IT. Yeah. So I keep up to date with the different journals and the different articles, but the thing that goes through my work is that I'm still working with young people, trying to help them discover what their gifts are, what their skills are, and kind of mentoring and guide them into the right place. And so I get a lot of inspiration on what I'm going to talk about from the students, because they do some fun things. Some of it is very intelligent, and some of it is very challenging. You're like, what? And then you have to look at, and I do, like, some of them have some actually horrendous environments that they're trying to get out. They're trying to have a better life. And so, so I get a lot of inspiration from my students or from my instructors. Like, you pull people out of industry and you put them working to teach young people. Yeah, I mean, I got lots of stories around that. your husband as well.
Yeah. I hear a lot of them. So Alyssa, I don't think I told you exactly. I mean, you understand kind of what Alicia and Alexis do, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm on Summer asked me, invited me to come be on her PAC board, last year, I think, sometime. Anyway, so I try to support
I've
her.
lost track of days and times with
I don't know. Yeah. I think it was
2020, right?
2 years now, but like I feel like I black out during the whole COVID months. Like I forget to count them as time. Anybody? No.
Yeah.
And then we had like a major freeze. So I'm like, wait, what day is today? Am I working?
Right.
I'm working today.
Yeah, it's been kind of a strange week, but the CTech program that Summer started and runs, they offer Summer, I'm gonna let you do it because you're the expert.
This is a test, Rachel. I want to see if you actually paid attention to those advisory board meetings.
I do. Yeah.
Well, we train high school students in the high wage, high demand jobs for our capital region. So essentially, we're training them in the fields of manufacturing, construction, crafts, IT, and healthcare. And we started with just recruiting juniors in high school, working with juniors and seniors, and they can get certifications, they can get dual enrolled credit, certificates of technical studies, things of that nature. We've just rolled out this past year associate degree programs for kids. So they'll start their freshman year of high school doing the dual enrolled classes, and hopefully they earn their associate's degree by the time they graduate from high school. So we're pretty excited about that. We just submitted a grant through the Department of Ed that we received to be planning for regional. So we have 9 parishes, and we're all going to be working together to get these pathways for high school to community college and then hopefully to work. So we have advisory board members, which Rachel was talking about, from all over these industries. And they usually come 3 times a year and give us feedback on our curriculum, on our programs, on how the kids are doing. Sometimes they donate equipment, they donate money, different things of that nature. So it's really a private-public partnership to help young people get into the fields that need the highly trained employees.
Well, and on top of that, let's just talk about what the public school system is comprised of for East Baton Rouge Parish, because everywhere else you guys have counties, we have parishes because we like to be special. So you, I know, yeah, we're French. We do that. It's a very large percentage of East Baton Rouge Parish student body that is Black or brown, just flat out. And some of the economic brackets are terrifying.
Yeah, it's below poverty. I mean, Louisiana already is pretty poor state, and then you're poor in a really poor state, I guess.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's really bad. So a lot of, I mean, kids dropping out of school to go get full-time jobs, that's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's still a thing, and it happens a lot to a lot of them. So part of what I'm so passionate about Summer's program is that this is a way for them to participate in a higher level of education that they don't have to pay for, that they are able to be a part of based on their academic merit. So it's, I mean, you want to talk about closing some economical gaps and then really actually, you know, what are they teaching a man to fish, right? Like that's like this is actually helpful, right? Like this isn't just, you know,
lip service or something.
Yeah.
Right. It's not just a Band-Aid trying to fix an open bleeding wound. You know, it's actually putting stitches across it and fixing it. So anyway, sorry, I took all the spotlight and like shown it at Summer for a second, but that's
awesome.
It was necessary.
Yeah, it was.
It truly is a collaboration because it can't be done alone. Like the school system can't do it by themselves. and employers need, I mean, it's just a win-win-win for everybody. It's good for the students. It's going to be good for the community. It's just a win-win-win when people work together and provide skills and training and assistance, just all the way around. So can't take full credit for it. I'm just the person that, is getting everybody together, but it's a collaboration for sure.
Yeah, it definitely is. And we do really appreciate it in the community, what it is that you're doing. And I know that there are similar programs in other communities, but I don't know you yet. So you got to come say hi. That's on you, boo, because I'm pretty friendly. Anyway,
I forgot to tell you that how this worked out. And I don't know, Alexis, if you want to talk about it, but I had a young person that was really interested in getting into tech, and I connected the two of them. So you want to talk about that?
Sure. It was a great conversation. So it was honestly, we talked for about 2 hours. It was a really good conversation. So what I usually do when I'm talking to people, because most people are like, I want to go into tech. Don't know how, don't know what in it, but I want to go into tech some way, shape or form. And so the first thing I do is I talk about what tech really is and think of it expansive. It's not just about what we call the FANG, which is like the Facebook, the Apple, the Amazon, the Netflix, and the Google. That's what everyone generally thinks of. And I'm like, it's so much more than that. And then it's going into what do you want to do in it? Because you really can do whatever you want in it. Mm-hmm. So I wrote a blog, because I have a blog. I blog now. COVID.
Perfect.
Why not?
Throw your presentations in there.
I had a blog, and I talked through the differences between consulting, which is where my background was before coming into this industry, and tech, and the back and forth of what the differences are, why I made the transition to tech, and then what to do to prepare for it if you're thinking of going into it, and the interview process and everything. So I walked through all of that with her, and it was like, all right, well, next month, let's come back. Let's talk again and see where you are in your search. And I also connected her with a couple of people within Amazon just to give her here's what I do every day. Because it's very hard to say, I want to just go in a tech space and not understand what your day-to-day looks like and what you can actually do. So yeah, it's honestly for most women like her, it's a journey. I'm going to be there with you the whole time, but it's the journey, and it's a discovery phase kind of thing.
Speaking about being uniquely in our perspective as women, and linking it back to giving presentations or talks or anything else. This morning, we were actually talking, Will McCullen and I were talking to Ian Meyer, who is the president of the board of directors for B-Sides Orlando. And they have done a bunch of things to try and engage minorities and women to present at their conference, right? And we were talking about some of the things that they do there. So have you all ever engaged with a group that you did not feel like the token? Do you know what I mean by feel like the token? Where you're like, they come to you and they're like, so you're a woman, or you're Black, or you're of Indian descent, or Native American, or Chinese, or Japanese, whatever it is. Can you come give a talk? Right? None of it's based on merit or your experience in the industry, but you're definitely like the token, because they looked down their list of speakers and went, oh my gosh, it's a bunch of old white dudes. So what instances have you felt like the organization that approached you to ask you to come speak did it like just well? It was well done, right? To give, because I don't want to focus necessarily on all the negative parts, but I want to give some insight into how to do it more, better, in a better way.
Yeah. So, I mean, first of all, if there's a CFP, the easiest way is just get the hell out there and say, hey, we really want to get a more diverse set of voices in our CFP, right? Because now there's no chance of a token, because it's still got to go through the CFP process, but you're trying to get diverse mindsets and experiences and the whole 9 yards up there, right? And I mean, that's the whole point of this, is that people can identify when they see others like them on stage rather than always seeing the same white males talk. And so, I mean, that's one easy way. But when it comes to, you know, like keynotes or selected talks where you're approaching people, I mean, understand that there's a fine line there between trying to pull in a token. If it's the only woman or it's the only Black person that's going to be in the entire conference, it's pretty damn obvious what's going on, right? You reached out to them, and that was it. Like, I mean, been there, done that. Turned those conferences down. But
I love how hard
reality
Alexis is
is,
laughing right now.
you do need to be deliberate about it, though, right? Like, I mean, you do actually have to deliberately, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, you know, the folks who are in the predominant class will tell you about how that's reverse discrimination or whatever terms they want to use for it. Bullshit. Pardon my French. You know, you need to be deliberate about bringing up other perspectives. And other perspectives come from different colors, different races, different, you name it. People who've experienced other things that those white males couldn't have experienced by themselves. And there's validity in that from a security perspective. And here's where I go with people and they try to tell me that forced diversity is not a good thing. It's a necessary thing. Look at all the technology fails we have because diversity isn't represented. AI that can't reproduce a picture of Barack Obama as a Black person, he ends up white. What? TSA scanners that unfairly target women of color because they happen to wear different hairstyles that most white women don't wear. And, apparently we had no Black women in our training set to tell us that this might be something we should pay attention to. So there is legitimacy to seeking out diverse talent like that and being deliberate about it. But you have to do it and be committed to it, not just, holy shit, we've got 45 white men, we need a 46th speaker, and it should be a woman and a woman of color. Come on, we can do better than that. Okay, soapbox time.
Heck
No,
yeah.
first off, church.
Yeah.
Church. Preach from the pulpit. I couldn't have said it better myself. Ooh, good goddamn. Sorry. Just to give you all the praise.
Summer's like, you guys. Summer, I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry. No, you're one. I want to thank you. I want to thank you for saying it in that way, because one, it was eloquent the way it's to the point, but it also the urgency in how you just said that, which is why I'm like, oh my God, I need to make sure I see you speak more. But I couldn't have said it better. Like, that was absolutely amazing. The other thing to add to it is I wouldn't have gotten into speaking if there wasn't a lot of people that already paved the way. So when companies do say like, oh, I couldn't find, nowhere to speak, I'm like, it's a healthy Google. There's a healthy Google will help you. Like, there is no excuse. It means either your network is too small or you're being deliberate, one or the other, because there's no excuse anymore. Like, we're all at home, COVID. Everyone has a platform. And I see, and if it wasn't for other women already being in this space and talking and sharing their gifts and of different classes, then I wouldn't have been prompted to be like, oh, I can do it too, to be very honest. So if it was on me to be the first, then there would be no first. I'm just being honest with you. So the fact that there are so many, and when people still say that there's not, they couldn't find someone, or a panel still looks the same way, I'm like, well, did you even try? Like, but that's it.
Yeah, and on to that whole, if it was left up to Alexis to be the first, she wasn't going to be it. I'm going to tell y'all right now, I am stupidly fearless when it comes to trying anything new. Stupidly, okay. I will run straight forward, deep end, don't even care, and I will flail and sputter water and just be like, I nailed it. Nailed it. Right? Don't even care. I'm the first one to dive in. That's how I got into InfoSec to begin with. All right. I used to work on commercial dishwashers. I ran headfirst into that as well. And then ran headfirst into InfoSec, and then ran headfirst into live streaming, which, by the way, if you go back and look at all the other episodes, I screwed it up so many times. I screwed it up today. Do I care? No, I don't care. Because here we are. And I'm having a great time. You guys having fun?
Oh,
Yes.
Right? Why not? Because you know what? If you don't try and you don't run out there head first, you're going to be left exactly where you're standing. Okay? You can either fail miserably and
Jonathan's
Jonathan.
That's funny. That's kind of a friend that fell over a dishwasher and broke her arm, so that's true. So don't run into the dishwasher.
That's awful. That is absolutely terrible.
She's an accountant, so you know.
But like you want to I mean, if you're afraid of trying, you've already failed.
Yeah, true.
You can try and fail and learn something. You can try and be like naturally amazing at it, but you have to try.
Yeah.
That is very
You
true.
just have to try one way or the other. And don't worry about looking stupid on the other end, because you can totally, if you're one of those people that trip and fall on like walking on the, I'm one of these people. I am the least graceful person I know. Okay. I once broke my leg just like falling off of my wedge heel. Like that was it. That's all it took. If you're one of those people that fall down and you are actually nervous about if anybody saw you, don't just stop. It's okay. They're not laughing at you. Nobody's judging you. Usually the first thing that happens is like 3 people, unless they're your best friend. Your best friend always seems to laugh at you when you fall down. Why is that? But 3 completely
Laugh first, help later.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Oh, you broke your leg? Oh, okay.
Yeah. But like complete strangers standing around you that watched you stumble a little bit, the first thing that they're going to do is go, "Oh my gosh, are you okay? Can I help you up? Here's a hand." Right? It's the same way with anything new that you try. As long as, it's fine. Don't be afraid to look stupid. It's okay. We've all been there. At least one.
Mm-hmm.
One thing though, just to add, but like, I do have a question about this though, because what if you're recovering? So a lot of women in our group, right? They have just the same ambition and may have started off with that same drive as you have, like Rachel. And so I know you may have an answer for this, but what do you do when you've been told that you can't? So I know for me, like I was told when I was first speaking, like, oh, you're too much, or you don't have executive presence, or you don't have, maybe your accent. I had a heavy Texas accent at one point. Can't people can't understand you.
What's wrong with the thick Southern accent?
Nothing's wrong with it at all whatsoever. But that's what I was told. So it's like, how do you? Most of the time, women that I talk to that I'm trying to get to speak, it's not that they never had the initiative. It's that someone came in before all that, when they first had that drive and ambition, and kind of shut them down. And now it's like you're fighting that. What do you guys do to, one, has it happened to you?
Yeah.
And 2, what do you do with that?
It has.
Yes, definitely 100%. So when I first got into my role, I had a few outsiders, one questioned me on how it was that I was initiating conversations with executives that were high up in the space, right? So I walked into InfoSec and I did not know what a CISO was. I had to ask my boss, what is a CISO and how do I make one? Like, no idea. Okay. Within a couple of months, gaining meetings and introductions and all these things with exactly that type of that level. And I had someone question me on how I was getting those meetings, and it was in a suggestive way that they asked me how I was getting those meetings.
Wow.
Everybody follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You want to talk about feeling defeated. That was one. The second one was, oh, well, now you've talked to them, but they're never going to want to do business with you. That was the other shutdown. Okay. For me personally, one, did that make me want to go home and cry? Yes. And sometimes I did. Okay. But I picked myself up off the ground and I reminded myself that I didn't do anything wrong to get there. That these folks were also engaging with me as well on a professional level, and that I got that far. It made me meaner. Okay. It made me, them trying to shut me down made me want to try that much harder. I was mad. The angry push, but in a friendly way, because I'm Rachel. But like, it made me mean. It made me want to disprove them that much more. If you need somebody, by the way, if there is somebody that is watching this that needs somebody to gas you up, I got you. Okay, I will gas you up all day long. I will talk about how fabulous you are every day, all day. All right, I've got more positivity in my pinky than you will ever need in your entire life.
And honestly,
vouch for that.
Two things, right? The one to me is anytime someone has told me no or been even worse, like that crappy about it, I just look at it as the easiest way to get back at them is to prove them wrong. And I know it's a hard mental state to get into. It's hard, especially in that moment when you're hurting and it's like you're so worried. But then you have to kind of look at it. It's like, okay, you hurt me. I'm going to hurt you back, but I'm going to hurt you in a way that is, I'm going to prove to you that you're just damn wrong and you look like the fool. And then the other part is, find yourself 1 or 2 or 10 of those hype people, the people who are going to talk you up. I've got a few colleagues. I'm prepping for a big talk last night, and one of them got on, actually 2 of them got on a video chat with me, and I rehearsed my talk for them, and both of them just there, like cheering me on, and that's one of those things that you do need to find those people, and there are people out there who will absolutely be in your court and will be the ones to give you that pep when you need it.
Yeah, I can think of a couple of ladies in the space that will definitely be your hype women. Okay, one, Alicia, it's a whole organization. Alexis is whole organization, right? Summer, you may be past high school age, but she'll still hype the hell out you. Okay. And Alyssa will definitely do it.
Absolutely.
Just saying.
We're here for you.
Why do you think I hang out with these people?
And I will encourage you, don't necessarily limit it to other women.
No,
some of my biggest hype people, I'm going to say his name now because it's out there and I haven't mentioned it yet. Probably one of my biggest hype people who's really pushed me over the last couple of years is Ray Redacted, if anyone knows who that is.
Yes.
I won't use his real name if he doesn't, but I mean, Ray is absolutely a champion for people. And me in particular, he has pushed me and encouraged me. And I mean, so you can find allies too. It doesn't always have to be. I mean, it definitely makes sense to look where you're most comfortable with those you identify with. But if you can find others, because especially then it's like, okay, so some, white male in, some space tells me that I don't have enough whatever to do this thing. And yet I've got this other white male who's like, yes, you're awesome, pushing you on. It really diffuses anything that other person's saying.
Yeah, it's true. I got to tell you though, it wasn't a white male. Anytime that I got squished,
another woman.
It was a woman.
Yeah, that's true. And I've really tried as I've moved up into management and like leading people to really support the women that report to me and even other women and put them forward. Now, my director is an African-American woman and she hates being in front of people. And I push her out there all the time. I'm like, nope, you got to get better. Nope, I'm here. You're going to do it. And she does a fabulous job. She acts like she does terrible. She does wonderful. But I have noticed, I've noticed that there's some women, they're not happy with you. I mean, I've had my fair share of, in fact, I used to say, I don't want to work for a woman.
Yeah. And don't hate them. Okay. Like practice, use your empathy muscle.
It'll move you forward.
It's a lot of times whenever you run across those ladies that are so negative, it's because they have also been squished.
Yeah. This is true. This is true.
Right.
Or they're in an environment where they make it seem like it's a competitive.
Yeah.
I was definitely, I could definitely sympathize with that because there's definitely times where it's like, why are you comparing only me and her? There's like 50 other people here, and we're actually the top 2 performing. So why are we being compared? Why don't you tell them to step up? Why do it have to be either one of us? You know what I mean? Agreed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Remember, those behaviors come from insecurity. Whether it's a white man, another woman, whoever it is, it all stems from insecurity. And now where the insecurity comes from varies. But just remember, there's a reason that for some reason, you're making them feel insecure. It might just be that you're that badass that they are worried you're making them look bad.
So look, some important things when presenting, do's and don'ts, right? Get comfortable, find you some hype people, right? I don't know how we're gonna
attack the stage, like Alyssa said.
Attack it's one, right? I don't know how we're gonna
have music when you're going on stage.
Music, that's right.
Comfort zone. Yes.
Yeah. So I think all of this stems down to comfort zone, being able to talk about what you're passionate about, right? Because that's part of choosing the topic. And be 100% genuine and yourself. You do not have to present the same way that somebody else presents. Be you, because they came to, what did Alyssa say? They came to see you.
Tell a story.
Tell a story.
Tell a story.
Oh, and we have to have sizzle like that LED light on the back of.
Right?
Oh my God! Yes.
Alyssa's room.
We need Alyssa.
If it's not your room, wear something. Seriously, find out at least one article of clothing you can wear that really stands out.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got one of the ones that I use a lot is I got this great set of heels. They've got a gold heel on them, and they've got like these gold roses growing up the back heel. And it's, I mean,
y'all
I want to see them now.
Yeah, we got to see these.
Yeah.
So
put them on your Twitter.
Yeah.
All right. I will. I'll tweet them out.
Yes. Later today, Alyssa, I want to see these heels on Twitter, and everybody go follow Alyssa on Twitter. She's also on LinkedIn and some other places, but I'm not sure. Are you more active anywhere else other than Twitter, Alyssa? Because I know you're pretty active there.
I'm pretty active on LinkedIn, but not as much as Twitter. Twitter is by far the easiest way to get in touch with me. So I'm always available on Twitter, but yeah, LinkedIn, that's always good too.
Cool. Well, thank you, Alyssa, so much for coming and hanging out and sharing some wisdom, and Alicia and Alexis and Summer as well. Thank you for helping me not feel nearly as suicidal about my awful speaking engagement.
Yeah. We're your hype people.
Right. We're your hype people.
Please.
Oh,
good for that.
I need you. You don't know what I just, it's awful. I'm so glad that we do this. And we do this monthly for anybody that's watching. It's usually towards the end of the month or whenever it is that we can all gather together and sit and chat for a while. And probably Fridays. So that way Summer's not actually sitting in school in her office. So thank you everybody for coming and joining and participating in the chat today. I hope that you all enjoyed it, and we'll see you guys next month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
Great weekend.